With the director saying yes to the main man himself jumping on board, the chances of a Scrubs reboot hitting our screens gets higher by the day. Even Zack Braff thinks so, despite the fact that the sitcom ended 13 years ago. It first started airing on NBC back in 2001.
Actually, sir, I recommend bypass surgery.
Wow, that's my pager.
You're wrong.
He's so wrong.
You make me so angry, I...
Before shifting to ABC and concluding its story after 9 amazing seasons in 2010. The series followed the story of a young, naive intern, John Michael J.D. Dorian, played by Zack Braff, at the Sacred Heart Teaching Hospital. We watched as he worked his way to a practicing physician, all the while managing rivalries with coworkers and navigating an on and off relationship. It's been a long time, no doubt, but fans to this day are still stuck on the series. They've stayed connected with the franchise on streaming platforms and with Braff's and co-star Donald Faison's podcast. Donald played DJ's best friend, Christopher Turk, on the show.
So you went behind my back and got an intern to agree with you so the guy doesn't get surgery.
Oh no, you caught me.
Cox, a bypass is the right call.
Considering the inherent risks in surgery, I didn't...
The guy's a diabetic with 2-vessel disease.
And anti-anginals can be equally effective.
So we agree that either treatment could work?
So it's not a surprise that many fans are hoping for a reboot. We've seen sitcoms like That 70s Show and How I Met Your Mother receive spin-offs, so why not Scrubs? Well, no one's announced any plans for one yet. The good news is that when they do, Zack Braff will be on board. The actor recently sat down for a Q&A session for his new Apple Plus television series, Shrinking. Interestingly, he was joined by Scrubs creator Bill Lawrence. According to TV Insider, the 47-year-old was asked if he would be willing to put on his scrubs again. Braff pointed towards Lawrence, who was sitting by him, saying that it would all depend on this guy. If he said yes and figured it out, the entire cast would be there. Now isn't that music to our ears? Guess Lawrence better hit that writing room again. Can he though? Well, if he can't come up with any ideas for the reboot, he can always ask Zack. He wanted to pay off one of the series' running gags for a reboot movie, specifically Dr. Acula from season 5. Zack wanted JD and Turk to find the money to fund Dr. Acula as an independent movie. For those of you who are confused, these two wanted to make a movie about a vampire doctor on the show, but never found the money. And it looks like Zack wants to help them realize their dream.
All right, everybody. Last one here has to do a double shift this weekend. Keith, you just lost your weekend.
What? I totally beat Lisa.
Or maybe he just wants to play a vampire doctor.
He's both. And at the very end, I'm gonna put Dr. Acula across the screen, take that period, get it out of there, squish it together, it'll say Dracula.
It sounds like an impractical idea, if I'm being honest. For starters, casual fans of the series might not even remember the gag. And then there's the fact that if the cast does come back, everyone would like it to be in a medical environment, because the story did kind of start in the halls of Sacred Heart Hospital.
Me no like you mean guys.
Have you seen my stethoscope?
No. Maybe you left it in one of the girls' bathrooms.
What? Hey! Hey, is that my stethoscope?
It's only fair any reboot takes place there. Still, they could turn Zack's idea into a full-blown episode of the revival season when it happens. Because, truth be told, I'll take anything as long as it means season 9 gets scrapped as an ending. Cause Scrubs' last season saw the show find a new cast and setting. And with all the OGs gone, the show wasn't exactly a hit with the audience. Frankly, who likes a show when the OGs leave?
Don't be nervous.
Is it hot in here? It's hot. No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Still, there's no reason to start obsessing. You did nothing wrong.
Season 8, on the other hand, was a massive hit. That 2-part finale is still talked about today, but they had to go and ruin it with Season 9. Sure, the core characters came back briefly, but it just didn't hit the spot. Maybe with a reboot, we can get the farewell we deserve for our characters. It's not like the season had bad writing or anything, but JD was there only for a few episodes, and so fans think the series should have ended with Season 8, my finale. The good news is that creator Lawrence would love to do a reboot, so we might actually see it happen. During an interview with Deadline, Deadline, the television producer said that he wanted to do a continuation of the show. During the same interview, Faison brought up the idea of a potential Scrubs movie. Seems like the two best friends are on the same frequency. But Lawrence was more interested in a reboot, and he had a good reason for it as well. He said that they're gonna do it because people still care about the show and they enjoy spending time with each other. Well, someone hand me some tissues because wow. This, and add in the fact that Lawrence never wanted a season 9 for the show. No, he wanted it to be a spin-off by the name of Scrubs Med, but the network turned him down. And so, you've got yourself an enthusiastic creator looking to get his hands dirty again. But I should mention that Lawrence doesn't think that a reboot is needed to tie up the loose ends. Back in 2021, during an interview with Variety, Bill said that if 5 years from now, everyone's like, hey, let's get together and do something and see where all these characters are because we haven't spent time together as human beings. Then he said he'd do it. Looks like Bill is more interested in spending time with his coworkers than the story itself. He doesn't feel like adding more to the characters, which is fine by me, as long as we get a reboot. The good news is, the whole cast is on board. Last year, the whole gang had a little get-together at the ATX TV festival. Of course, like always, a reboot was brought up, and surprisingly, we got a good response from the cast. For starters, we had Zach, Donald, Sarah Chalk, Judy Reyes, and Neil Flynn in attendance. According to Deadline, Faison was the first to answer. He said that they all want a reboot and a chance to work together, but a full season wasn't on the table. They could maybe do a movie. I'm guessing his answer might have to do with the cast's busy schedules. Take Braff for one. He was working on Disney Plus's Obi-Wan Kenobi back then, and this year he has a new Apple series, so I wouldn't say the situation has improved. As for Donald himself, he was working on the live-action Powerpuff as Professor Drake Utonium. Reyes had a role in Smile to focus on. Lawrence had his hands tied, but he still offered hope with his comment about loving the job. Speaking of Reyes, she was hopeful for a reboot as well. She said that JD and Turk would definitely come back in case of a reboot, but she shed little light on her own character. I'm putting her down as a no, since the whole reason she left was that she had pay disputes with ABC.
You don't have to hide from Mr. Simon.
I'm not hiding from Mr. Simon. I have a new exercise program. It's called Short Bursts.
Is it working?
Do you have to ask?
Yeah.
Where'd Mr. Simon go?
Well, I'm guessing not heaven.
On that note, if someone was rooting for a musical, I'm sorry, but I gotta break your hearts. A fan brought up the question during the panel, and here's what Lawrence said. Do you really want to hear Sarah sing? No, you don't. So that's a no to a musical and yes to a reboot. Unfortunately, that's all it is. Yes, from the casts and creators. I'm yet to see something practical. I don't see anyone clearing their schedules or talking to the networks about a potential Scrubs reboot. Or maybe they are behind the curtains.
Accept the keys to the hog. You become a lifetime member of the Danger Club. Excuse me, fine ladies. And I've got lives to save.
But from where I'm standing, it doesn't look like anything's happening, and it kinda makes sense. The whole reason the core cast and writers abandoned ship was to diversify their portfolio. And now, with some of them working on these very big projects, it's hard to see them dropping them and coming back. Still, a man can hope, right?
You're right. That's super fun. I love doing things with you. Thanks, Perry. I needed that. I'm having a little trouble getting my teacher groove going.
And that's all the deets I had about Zack Braff being hopeful for a Scrubs reboot.